You always hear the debate versus low bar and high bar back squat. Well, as an Olympic weightlifter, most Olympic weightlifters will say there's only one way to squat. The only way you can squat is an Olympic high bar back squat. This isn't necessarily true. As it is more advantageous for Olympic weightlifting to do an Olympic high bar back squat, there are some advantageous aspects to a low bar powerlifting back squat. So first we'll talk about the low bar powerlifting back squat. Here, the athlete's going to take the bar off lower on their shoulders, on the lower part of their traps. They're going to have their feet just a little bit wider than shoulder width. As they push their butt back, their chest goes a little bit forward to complete the squat in this manner, right? So if you notice where they'll finish, the athlete will finish a little bit forward here and getting to about parallel and standing up, right? So we'll show you again. Here, athlete comes forward, hips go down below the parallel, and then they'll stand up. Why and when is this helpful? This is very helpful for building athletes that have poor hamstring development and also poor lower back development, right? Because this forward motion of the torso allows for more pressure to be put on the hamstrings and more hamstring action to come into play for that lifter. So if you're a lifter that's struggling with hamstring development, you might want to incorporate these. It's not necessarily a bad activity, but you could also incorporate other things like good mornings and whatnot. But this could create just even a little bit more load because you can do more weight than what you could in a good morning, right? Inversely, we have the Olympic high bar back squat, which, yes, is more advantageous for an Olympic weightlifter. And you'll notice here, Olympic high bar back squat, watch the torso. The torso remains more vertical throughout the course of the lift as the hips go back. The lifter will lower themselves all the way down to the bottom of their position here, where the butt is in between their ankles, and still the torso is remaining somewhat vertical as they stand up out of the squat. So again, here the athlete remains much more vertical on the way down, reaches a full depth, and comes all the way up. These are better for full development of the legs. This hits the quadriceps and the hamstrings a little bit more equally since you're going to a full depth range of motion. But probably more importantly, a full depth squat actually makes an athlete more explosive, because when you're able to train the muscle groups to full extension, this actually helps teach the muscles to be more explosive when called upon to be explosive, right? Training halfway through a muscle movement as a low bar back squat allows the muscle to potentially be not as explosive as it could be if it was trained to a full range of motion. So from an Olympic weightlifting standpoint, yes, the Olympic high bar back squat is superior to the low bar powerlifting back squat, but the low bar powerlifting back squat does have some very, very good advantageous aspects to it, especially with hamstring and lower back development.